Great to have you with us today, Dr. Sidhwa. I know that you left Gaza on the 1st of April, but what are your friends telling you about what happened in yesterday's strikes morning?
Yeah, well, I worked at European Hospital a year ago in Gaza, actually, and then when I was back this time, I worked at Nasser, which was also bombed yesterday. Both were hit. So there was a photojournalist who had been nearly killed in an Israeli airstrike on his tent, the media tent just outside of Nasser Hospital, where actually I used to hang out with the journalists there. He was killed. He was the target of the attack, and then another patient was killed in the strike on Nasser. Just so people understand, even if he was in Hamas, you don't just get to kill him in a hospital. But it doesn't even seem like he was in Hamas. His only crime seems to have been documenting the October 7th Hamas attacks on Israel. But yeah, so they bombed this hospital in Nasser for the second time in less than 2 months. To kill someone that they don't like. The first time that they did it, they killed one of my patients, Ibrahim Barhoum, a 16-year-old boy. And this time they killed this photojournalist and another patient who, unfortunately, I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
At European Hospital, there were multiple airstrikes, somewhere between 9 and 12. It's not really clear. And then there were two more the next day on the workers who were cleaning up the rubble, actually. The claim, like you said, was that the Israelis were attacking an underground Hamas command center. And the Israelis actually released a video, which I think you might have been playing just a moment ago. They released a video purportedly showing this. Well, Sky News itself actually did an investigation about this. It's on your website, showing that not only does the video not even show European Hospital, but that the reported what the Israelis claim was terror infrastructure underneath the hospital, which again they weren't even looking at the hospital in that video, were just water drainage ditches. So these kinds of claims are nonsensical. They always are, and these attacks on hospitals are just attacks on hospitals. That's really all they are, and they're killing
And,
patients. They're killing healthcare workers. It's got to stop. It really has to stop.
and Dr. Sidhwa, I know that you were at the Nasser hospital on the 23rd of March when there was a strike then. Take me back to that day. What did you see? What did you hear? What was it like?
Yeah, so that day was 5 days after the resumption of the really widespread bombardment of the Gaza Strip. And the last operation that I had done the day the bombardment restarted was a 16-year-old boy named Ibrahim, whom I just mentioned, Ibrahim Barhoum. Nice kid, 16 years old, doing well in school, had a loving family. And on the 23rd, he was ready to go home. Well, I right after it was Ramadan during that time, and Muslims have they eat an evening meal called iftar. So after they had iftar, I went down and I was going to change Ibrahim's dressings. And his room was on the second floor of the hospital, and our living quarters were on the fourth floor. So I walked out of the fourth floor past the ICU, and I was pulled into the ICU to look at another patient whom I'd never met before. I spent about 10 minutes working that patient up. And then I said, look, this guy needs to go to the operating room. I'm going to go down and change Ibrahim's dressings. You guys get this kid into the OR because the patient in the ICU was bleeding badly. And by the time I've changed Ibrahim's dressings, I'm going to come back up and we'll take care of this guy in the ICU. As I walked out of the ICU, Ibrahim's room exploded. So if it had happened literally 2 minutes later, I would have been standing right next to him when he was killed. And I'm sure I would have been killed too. And the reason that they decided to blow up this hospital room was to kill a wounded person in Hamas named Ismail Barhoum, I believe. And because they're from the same extended family, they were kind of distant cousins, from what I understand. The nurses had put them into the same room just to make family visits easier. And so, so Ibrahim had to suffer for that. Now, I've never had a patient blown up and then blown up again in his hospital bed. That's pretty unusual. But I have to be honest, it was pretty scary to be in a hospital that was being bombarded. Um, the Palestinians did everything they could to keep us safe. They kind of shoved us over to what they thought was the safest area of the hospital to try and keep us safe. But I mean, you can't. How are you going to keep people safe if the hospital itself is being bombed? Uh, I walked through the. I should think the footage that I shot was shown on Sky News back then. I walked through the destroyed men's surgical ward. It just looks like what happens when you blow up a surgical ward. There's mangled beds everywhere. There's some blood splattered on the wall. The whole, all the lighting and everything is destroyed. There's a giant hole in the hole of the hospital where the missile came through. Um, and there's 2 dead bodies. Yeah.
Goodness me. Look, Hamas say that, Israel and the military there say that actually they're going to continue until they destroy Hamas. What do you think that means for the patients at these hospitals?
I have to be honest, I think it means Gaza is just going to be destroyed, and I think that includes the patients in the hospitals. If destroying Hamas requires dropping 12 bombs on one small hospital, European hospital is a 200-bed facility. It's not big. If it requires dropping 12 bombs on them and then releasing a video that doesn't even show the building that you're purporting to bomb, I think that shows pretty clearly you're just bombing the hospital to bomb the hospital. It's got nothing to do with fighting Hamas. So if the Hamas thing is just an excuse to destroy all of Gaza, then I think it means they're going to continue destroying all of Gaza like they have, with the full support of my government. I should point out that's the most important reason for me to be involved in this. And so I think it means the patients are going to continue suffering, and it's just to keep in mind half of Gaza is children. And they're the ones that are suffering the most, just like the ones in India and Kashmir that you just showed. India, Pakistan,
Okay.
and Kashmir.
Dr. Sidhwa, thank you so much for your time. We really do appreciate it.